Look at that one. Not bad, huh, Fred?
Yes, sir.
The old man is fighting for his retirement fund, even if it means digging the mine all the way to China.
You got a hell of a hole. Damn, Scott, looks like you tunnel in China.
Because the old man Fred believes the spot they are digging is the site of a buried waterfall. As long as they continue to dig straight down along the vertical face of the ancient waterfall's bedrock, they will hit the gold pile at the bottom of the scour pool. Fred has set the depth of the gold treasure at 6 meters. But today the creek water is murky and visibility is poor, so Fred sent Paul, who has the most diving experience in the team, to execute today's digging task. After 2 hours of diving operation, Fred checked the digging progress of the dive hole. The red mark is 5.5 meters deep, which means they are only tens of centimeters away from the gold pile at the bottom. Of course, this is the depth they estimate to reach the bedrock and may not be accurate. But the thought of big gold nuggets waiting for them on the bedrock makes them increasingly excited. However, less than 5 minutes later, there was a scream from the diver underwater.
Whoa! Pick up the diver!
Predicting something bad, 77-year-old Fred quickly pulled Paul up from the 5-meter deep water. Fortunately, Paul was not missing any limbs. He was just startled by a cave-in in the dive hole, and Fred would rather Paul be hit by a rock than hear news of a mine collapse, so he immediately sent him back underwater to assess the condition of the mine. It turned out that a giant rock on the cave wall had just fallen off and nearly hit Paul. Now this giant rock has filled the bottom of the hole, completely blocking their way to the gold, and Paul couldn't possibly lift this rock out. Today's diving operation could only be forcibly terminated. The thought of his crew member almost being buried made Fred feel scared. Paul couldn't help but curse a few times.
That's it. We're done.
The next morning, Fred called the team members for a meeting. Clearly, he wouldn't easily give up on his last gold rush before retirement, so today they must find a way to deal with that rock. To prevent any similar incidents where divers were nearly buried, Fred also established a new rule: stop diving if underwater visibility is less than 30 centimeters. Next, they started making tools to remove the rock. The rock itself has no handle, so they first had to figure out a way to give the rock a handle. Fred's plan is to use a 2.4-meter drill rod and weld a 3-meter extension rod, so they can drill 2 holes into the rock underwater, then install 2 expansion bolts onto the rock. Finally, tie steel cables to the bolts and use the winch to pull the rock out of the hole. The old-school gold miners who don't have underwater drilling machines and rock blasting technology can only use what they have to solve the problem. They returned to the dive spot and found today's creek water much cleaner than yesterday. Fred immediately started assigning tasks. The person responsible for diving operation is the newcomer Scott. He locates the drill underwater. Paul connects the drill rod to the drill machine and waits for Scott's instructions.
Drill! There we go. We're drilling.
According to the plan, they need to drill 2 15-centimeter deep holes, but the drill rod broke halfway through the first hole. This was an unexpected situation for Fred, so they only made 1 drill rod. Now they can only try to manage with what they have. They must rely on only 1 bolt to hoist the rock out of the dive hole. After getting everything ready, the hoisting winch started turning. The rock was lifted out of the water as expected. It seems the cautious old man was overthinking it. Now that the rock blocking the gold channel has been dealt with, anything else they do today is extra gain for Fred. Now the heavy responsibility of breaking through the bedrock and digging gold falls on Scott's shoulders. After reaching the bottom of the hole, he started sucking straight down towards the bedrock. At the 5-meter deep water, he could even see the surface. Today's visibility is excellent, which makes Scott's mood particularly high. A large amount of unsuctionable rocks were transported out of the hole bottom. An overly excited Scott even started playing with the basket full of rocks. Fred warned him strictly not to play like that. This is where the fuse for their future conflict was laid. Because Fred, who has been a gold mine foreman for 30 years, adheres to the principle of safety first, and Scott is a dangerous element in his mind who touched the taboo. So Fred kept nagging and reminding Scott to pay attention to safety during Scott's diving operation. And Scott, who dug a straight downward tunnel, dug an unusually narrow hole, forcing him to work under the basket full of rocks. Fred told him to stay close to the wall and not under the basket, but the reply he received was inability to stay close to the side. Since that's the case, Fred had to terminate the dive and let him come ashore. The temptation of the bedrock treasure made Scott ignore Fred's guidance, which greatly troubled Fred. So for the next day's dive, Fred sent the more reliable Paul, and after Paul went underwater, he complained a few words about Scott's work results. Scott dug a straight vertical shaft without widening it. He just created a death trap. After Paul took over, there was nothing he could do. Now he can only retreat a few steps and widen the dive hole, making the wall less vertical so they can safely dig down to the gold on the bedrock. Paul spent 4 hours underwater widening the dive hole, although the progress of digging the bedrock gold was delayed. After today's diving operation ended, the next diver should be able to dig the bedrock gold. After Paul came ashore, the 3 gathered around. Only Scott was searching for gold in the sluice box. Fred immediately asked him what he was doing there after seeing him.
Hey! What are you doing?
Same thing he did yesterday.
You're breaking the rules. Gotta have more than one person go look in that sluice box.
I didn't touch anything in the box.
You can be as mad as you want to be. You don't break the rules. I told you from the start. You were picking around and you weren't picking.
I didn't touch fucking thing. I looked because I was standing next to it. I don't know what you're accusing me of right now, but
I'm not accusing you.
No. You're accusing me of doing something that I didn't do.
Listen, no one will go snooping around in that box without two people.
So it's only wrong if I do it, because Paul did the same damn thing yesterday. The exact same thing.
I didn't see him.
So it's only wrong if I do it then.
It's only bad if I see it.
To prevent anyone from stealing gold, Fred stipulated that at least 2 people must check the sluice box together, and Scott was still unconvinced, arguing that Paul had also checked the sluice box alone, but Fred didn't see it. He wanted to continue arguing for himself. Fred directly told him to shut up, and emphasized that rules are rules. This finally shut Scott up, but Scott left with a final phrase, F***CK you old man, I'm leaving. And the act of breaking the rules made Fred very angry.
Broke the cardinal rule. Don't go look in the sluice box by yourself. And I think most gold miners understand exactly what I'm talking about. He's got gold fever, and I'm telling you, gold will make an honest person dishonest.
In the tent, Scott complained to his 2 colleagues that Fred treated him like a thief. Ryan was the first to refute. He felt Fred didn't treat him like a thief, but that it was a rule that must be followed in gold mining operations. But Scott still felt Fred had a specific prejudice against him, because Paul did the same thing yesterday, but only he got scolded. Paul couldn't hold back. He has been gold mining with Fred since 2013. This is the trust he earned from years of working with Fred. Scott also said he was disappointed that he worked so hard to dig gold for the team but failed to gain Fred's trust. But Paul told him that Fred had previously encountered people who stole gold, which is why he values this rule so much, which left Scott completely speechless. Ryan behind him added that building trust in the face of gold takes a very long time. People can kill each other for a piece of gold. It has been like this since ancient times. Looking at the truth on Paul's chest, Scott believed what Paul said was true. The next day, Scott apologized to Fred for ignoring the golden rule of mining, and Fred could also understand that a newcomer needs an adaptation process. So he not only forgave Scott but also gave him another chance to prove himself. Scott must not only prove that he can follow the rules but also safely dig the gold on the bedrock. This dive, Scott honestly picked up rocks and sucked sand, and also paid attention to observing the surroundings to ensure no big rocks would fall and hit him. Fred was very satisfied with his reformed behavior and hoped he could keep it up. After more than 3 hours of diving operation, Scott manually moved nearly half a ton of rocks, finally measuring with a ruler. The dive hole finally reached 6 meters deep. If Fred guessed correctly, the bedrock is close at hand. Ending today's diving operation, Fred told Scott to check the sluice box, which flattered Scott, and the real surprise was yet to come.
Oh! Look at that, man.
That's a nice piece. Damn, dude.
See another little piece in there. Look at that one. It's a nice looking box.
That's nice.
The harvest from this sluice box was very different from before. It was the first time the old man's team saw so many large pieces of gold lying inside. These nuggets indicate that their digging direction is on the right track and will eventually lead to a huge return.
Nice chunky pieces.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Nice.
Scott not only found the largest nugget the team has dug this season, but he also saved his gold mining career along the way.
Not bad, huh, Fred?
Yes, sir. I like that.
With only a few days left until winter, Fred is pushing towards the gold harvest on the bedrock.
About time that we find Mother Nature's treasure. We're gonna go after it with a vengeance. Man, I'm psyched up. Get that gold.
Next, the gold rush white water.
Woo!
That's bedrock right there.
Finally! This is what we've been hunting for all year.
Oh my